This is what's like the Lucas.
Person go dey cry, they beg am, he go tell you, no fit, governor no fit do it.
No, you're not gonna blame him. The governor go blame him. What you go make governor give that kind of position with all the whole people we will get for this time. Give somebody that kind of position. You don't give him another thing. No, you carry our media give him. If the governor say no want again.
I don't know whether you just go the map, but governor suppose get better than if them, because politicians are not close them.
If Peter Mbas jazz, they progressive.
Don't go there.
The one who think he come with income from channels now. It's supposed they okay.
The TV from China, see, they want TV station in state or who state. The workers use placard pursue because of the same character. When you can all of us they happy, say that person don't come. But everybody's committees are full. I never tried it before.
Then I send me the on lights now. Right.
Also, you may see this thing.
Yes, fine. Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I'm Charles Pius. In the headlines, Federal High Court grants permission for witness in the Nnamdi Kanu terrorism trial to testify in camera. Speaker of House of Reps says Nigeria's democracy must be measured by inclusiveness. Madrid commuters make their way to work after blackout hit Spain. And first batch of Hong Kong Democrats freed after 4 years jail for subversion. Details shortly. No signal here. I didn't say anything here. A federal high court in Abuja has granted permission to the federal government for its witnesses to testify behind camera in the terrorism charges brought against the Biafran nation agitator Nnamdi Kanu. The presiding judge, Justice James Omotosho, granted the permission on Tuesday while delivering ruling in an ex parte application filed by the federal government lawyer Adeboyega Solomon, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Solomon had pleaded with Justice Omotosho that the identities of the witnesses needed to be protected for security reasons since the charges against Kanu borders on terrorism. The senior lawyer requested that the name of the witnesses be shielded from public for the general reasons of security. Justice Omotosho granted the request as there was no objection from Kanu's lawyer, Kanu Agabi, SAN, who, however, requested for similar cooperation from the federal government when bail application for Kanu would be argued. Justice of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Wuse Zone 2, Abuja, Njideka Nwosu Iheme, has sentenced the husband of the late gospel singer Osinachi Peter Nwachukwu to death by hanging. Justice Nwosu Iheme found him guilty of culpable homicide resulting in the death of the deceased on April 8, 2022. The judge sentenced Nwachukwu to death after the court had held that the prosecution had proven the burden of proof placed on it by the law and subsequently found the defendants guilty. Nwachukwu was arraigned on June 3, 2022 by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation on behalf of the federal government on a 23-count charge bordering on culpable homicides punishable with death, criminal intimidation, cruelty to children, criminal intimidation of children, spousal battery, among others. The court sentenced the defendant to 6 months imprisonment on count 10, 3 years imprisonment on count 11, while he was fined a sum of 500,000 naira and 200,000 naira on count 6 and 7. The late gospel artist, who has several tracks including Ekweme, died at the age of 42. Her death triggered outrage in the country, with fans and Nigerians calling for justice for the singer. Meanwhile, the Abuja Federal High Court, presided over by Justice Inyang Eko, has ordered a businessman, Aisha Achimogu, to appear before it on Wednesday this week. The order by Justice Eko followed the suit filed by Achimogu against several law enforcement agencies, including the Nigerian Police Force, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the Department of State Services, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the Nigerian Immigration Service. Achimogu had, through her counsel, Kehinde Ogunwumuju, a senior advocate of Nigeria, sought for an order of the courts to protect her from being detained or harassed by the EFCC and other enforcement agencies. But in his response to Achimogu's application, EFCC's counsel, Ekele Iheanacho SAN, informed the court of a counter affidavit deposed to by one of its investigators, Chris Odofin, outlining the circumstances leading to her invitation. He disclosed that Achimogu is under investigation for alleged conspiracy, obtaining money by false pretense, money laundering, corruption, and possession of property reasonably suspected to have been acquired through unlawful means, but that she allegedly failed to report back as agreed, choosing instead to file a fundamental rights enforcement suit against the commission. Ruling on the matter, Justice Eko told Achimogu to appear before the EFCC and assist in the course of the investigation, which is its constitutional obligation, while the two parties are to appear before his court on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the Kano Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says it has commenced investigation of 86,500 United States dollars, 305,150 Saudi riyals, and 200 euros confiscated by officers of the Nigerian Customs Service at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano. The funds were discovered in an accompanied bag suspected to have been smuggled into the country and intercepted on Sunday, April 27, 2025, when a clearing agent, Sale Bala, attempted to retrieve the bag. Upon physical inspection, customs officers uncovered the foreign currencies concealed in spreads and stocked in the luggage, and upon further investigation, arrested Bala and a sex suspect, Lahi Tahiru, who was reportedly tasked with receiving the bag after clearance. The EFCC in a statement commended the Nigerian Customs Service for its vigilance and reiterated the importance of interagency cooperation in safeguarding the nation's economy. The Commission said it is intensifying efforts to enlighten stakeholders on the legal requirements for cash movement and the consequences of non-compliance, which is being done in collaboration with customs and other stakeholders. Meanwhile, after 10 days of closure to make way for rehabilitation, the runway of the Akanu Ibom International Airport, Enugu, has been reopened. Correspondent Ugone Walo, who was at the airport on Monday, reports that aircraft are expected to land and take off from the runway by Tuesday.
The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, to temporarily close the airport for repairs. The closure had far-fetching implications, affecting passengers, airlines, and the local economy. The Southeast Regional Manager at the Akanu Ibom International Airport, Enugu, Hilary Umonna, while taking Signature TV through the runway, emphasized that the airport had always been very safe and remains so as part of its core values. He maintained that FAN remains committed to the well-being of the passengers and staff, as well as providing a secure and conducive environment for all. From all indications, the runway is ready for safe landing and takeoff of aircraft, to the delight of the air travelers. From the Akanu Ibom International Airport, reporting for
The management of the Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) says the Warri Itapa train service will resume on April 30. The Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the corporation, Dr. Kayode Opefa, who disclosed this in a statement in Lagos, said the suspension of the services was to enable the management to improve on the operational capacity. Opefa appreciated Nigerians, the service revered passengers and stakeholders for their understanding, patience, and cooperation during the trying period. He said passengers who previously opted for a ticket refund had been fully reimbursed while the train service was suspended. The Abia State government is set to flag off the wet season rice farming program under its in-growers scheme to strengthen food security across the state. The State Commissioner for Information, Oke Kanu, disclosed this while briefing newsmen at Government House on outcome of this week's Executive Council meeting chaired by Governor Alex Oti. Kanu said the program, which would be flagged off next week, is aimed at increasing local rice production and empowering farmers across the state. The commissioner said that the state government was or has extended the deadline for the submission of expression of interests on its recovered plantation to May 15, 2025, in order to allow serious investors participate in the exercise. Addressing concerns on the alleged diversion of agricultural support funds for the farmers, the Commissioner for Agriculture, Dr. Cliff Agbaeze, disclosed that the ministry has initiated a statewide enumeration process to collect data on real farmers. He emphasized that only genuine farmers with actual farms identified and geo-mapped with precise coordinates will qualify for the state government interventions. The Abia State Commissioner of Police, Danladi Isa, wants police officers to protect a positive or project a positive image for the force at all times. Isa, who addressed officers serving at the State House headquarters, Umuahia, charged them to cultivate excellent relationship with members of the public by dealing with them with civility and respect. He emphasized the importance of discipline, dedication to duty, and commitment, urging every officer to uphold the core values of the Nigerian police force. The Commissioner warned that absenteeism, lateness to duty, and acts of extortion would not be tolerated under any circumstance, while assuring that there will be reward for good conduct. Meanwhile, the University of East London Alumni Network Nigeria has pledged to partner the Enugu state government to advance educational excellence and community development. The president of the Alumni Network Nigeria, Professor Isa Abdurrahim, during a courtesy visit to Government House Enugu, praised Governor Peter Mbah's exceptional leadership and affirmed the alumni's readiness to support his administration's initiatives. He said that the proposed partnership aims to provide scholarships for deserving students, promote community development through educational programs, enhance students' recruitment and learning opportunities, and collaborate with institutions to harness talents. Governor Mbah underscored his administration's dedication to education, noting that approximately one-third of the state's annual budget is allocated to the sector. He described education as a transformative force for society and shared his vision for a revolutionized education system. The events concluded with the inauguration of the UEL Alumni Network Nigeria at Enugu's International Conference Center, ICC, officially launching the network's operations and cementing its partnership with the Enugu state government. The ruling All Progressives Congress APC is still in celebration mood following the recent defections to the party from prominent chieftains of the People's Democratic Party PDP in Delta State. The defections have generated mixed reactions, including condemnations and apprehensions from some opposition leaders and political watchers who see it as part of a grand plan to extinguish the voice of the opposition in the country. But Vice President Hashim Shettima, who was in Delta State, said the defection of Governor Sheriff Obovori and his supporters to the All Progressives Congress, APC, is a political tsunami of unimaginable proportion. He described the occasion as a testimony to the enduring promise of the APC, saying that the true measure of a political party lies not merely in the enthusiasm of its members, but in the conviction it inspires among those who once opposed them. National Chairman of the APC, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, described the defection of the Delta's governor as a political legacy. Okowa explained. Okowa explained that his decision to defect from the PDP to the APC was for the common good of the people, while Governor Obovoure said that what happened in Delta State was a movement, not a defection, and assured that there would be no faction in Delta State APC. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, says Nigeria's democracy must be measured by how much the critical stakeholders in the nation are involved in the processes. Addressing a group of social media influencers, most of whom were youth at the National Assembly on Monday, Abbas highlighted the importance of the teeming youth population and their voice and online presence to democracy. The Speaker noted the challenges posed by misinformation, digital security threats, and the misuse of online platforms. Said the government's approach should be rooted in dialogue, education, and constructive engagement rather than censorship or coercion. He described the interaction as an unprecedented engagement designed to formalize a dialogue between the Nigerian parliament and the dynamic community of digital actors whom he said have contributed to the democratic enterprise and shaping national discourse. The Speaker pointed out that the legislative agenda of the 10th House rests on a foundational commitment to deepen public participation in governance through an accessible, transparent, responsive process that is firmly anchored in the aspirations of Nigerians. Up ahead, federal government set to offset 5 months wage award arrears. Governor Sule commends women title holders for humanitarian commitment. To stay with us. Welcome back. The federal government is to pay the outstanding 5 months, 35,000 naira wage award arrears to workers. The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation made this known in a statement issued by Bawa Mokwa, the Director of Press and Public Relations. Mokwa said that the federal government had earlier paid 5 months' wage award in installments. He said that the outstanding arrears would be paid in installments of 35,000 naira per month for 5 months. He said that first installments of the outstanding wage award arrears would be paid after the April 2025 salary. He said that the federal government was determined to fully implement all policies and agreements regarding staff remuneration and welfare to enhance productivity and efficiency. The Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, has described the 2025 federal budget as inadequate to meet critical social and infrastructural demands. It made that observation in its latest report titled 2025 FGN Budget Analysis. Can the budget deliver a major economic boost? The NESG said it observed that public investments continues to be treated as a residual budget item, receiving leftover funds after recurrent expenditures are covered, adding that it had consistently disrupted the execution of multi-year infrastructure and social development programs. Between 2015 and 2024, total government spending averaged just 13.1% of the country's gross domestic products, GDP, far below the global average of 30%, and even below the sub-Saharan African SSA average of 21.2%. According to the report, the federal government earmarked 27.96 trillion, representing 50.8% of the 54.99 trillion naira 2025 budget for recurrent spending, which includes debt servicing and non-debt recurrent expenditure. Meanwhile, capital expenditure, which covers critical public and social infrastructure, received 49.2% of the budget. The group also raised concerns over Nigeria's low per capita public, especially when compared to peer economies. With a 2025 budget of 54.99 trillion naira and a population estimated at 230 million, the per capita allocation stands at just 239,087 naira annually. The federal government has directed the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, to adopt full computer-based testing, CBT, for all their examinations by 2026. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, who disclosed this during the monitoring of the side, JAM officials in Buari, directed to start administering their objective papers. Alausa said that both the objectives and the essay will be fully on CBT 2026 exams, which will come up in May to June as one way of eliminating exam malpractices. He said that if JAM can successfully conduct CBT exams for more than 2.2 candidates, WAEC and NECO can do the same if they start their objective exam on CBT. Speaking on the early schedule of the exams, the JAM registrar, Professor Ishak Oloyede, explained that the board's UTME exams had always begun at 8 a.m., but that the candidates were only expected to be on ground by 6:30 a.m. to enable them get accredited before the exams and debunks claims of candidates being posted to centers they did not choose. He confirmed that more than 1.6 million out of 2.03 million registered candidates had completed their exams, with about 50,000 remaining. More than 40 candidates had been arrested for malpractice, including impersonation and attempting to smuggle out exam questions with hidden cameras. The governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, has commended the Association of Women Traditional Title Holders in Nigeria for its readiness to collaborate and carry out humanitarian services for the betterment of the country. Sule gave the commendation at the inauguration of the newly elected executives of association and launch of their endowment fund raising. The governor, who was represented by the Commissioner for Environment and Natural Resources, Mrs. Margaret Elayo, said that the state valued the strengths of tradition, saying that governance cannot succeed without the community. He said that the state government will continue to engage traditional women leaders in campaigns focused on environment, health, education, and community development.